ABSL Summit. Beyond Tomorrow. Building a Sustainable Future.
Yesterday I mentioned that I love Gdańsk and TRICITY in general for respecting diversity and inclusion. And we've got a great opportunity to talk about it right now, but we will provoke with the title of the panel, and I'm looking for Ola. We haven't seen for a long time Ola. A year, yeah. Aleksandra Karasińska, editor-in-chief Forbes Women, who will moderate Oxford's debate just in a moment. But the title of the panel is Without Belonging, Diversity and Inclusion Fails. Really? Let's see. Aleksandra Karasińska.
Hello audience, hello dear participants of ABSL Summit. Łukasz, thank you for a warm welcome. So let's start the Oxford debate. I'm so happy to see you all here in Gdańsk. As Łukasz said, my name is Aleksandra Karasińska and I'm editor-in-chief of Forbes Women magazine. As an editor, I have started and created a business magazine that presents economy and business from a diverse point of view. As you probably know, you are aware, women are 50% of the society, but still, in Polish media, there are very few women experts. I am also a manager in a big international corporation, and the subjects of diversity and inclusion is something I deal with my life, with my work every day. So it's really a great honor to be a chair in today's Oxford debate and see you all in Filharmonia Bałtycka in Gdańsk. Hello. Let me introduce you to the participants and the topic. First, participants, all of them fascinating people, excellent experts, and, as I've learned during our preparation to this event, fiercely competitive leaders. Please welcome them on stage. Give them a huge applause, because they really prepared and worked hard for the debate. So, here they are, team in favor. Okay, let them sit. Okay, I will be sitting also, guys. So, James Hughes, British Ambassador, Minister, Counsellor for Economic Affairs. Welcome, James. Wiktor, Kinga Piecuch, Microsoft, Central and Eastern Europe Enterprise Industry Manager. Welcome, Kinga. Wiktor Janicki, Astra, Zeneca, Country President, Poland. Welcome. And team against the thesis, Magdalena Dziewguc, Google Cloud Poland, Country Manager. Janusz Dziurzyński, ABSL, Chairman of the Board, British American Tobacco, Global Information Digital Technology Manager. Welcome. And last but not least, Monika Rajska-Wolińska, Colliers, Chief Executive Officer, Central Eastern Europe. Okay, before we start the debate, one very important information. The Oxford debate is a bit like theater, and the participants are a bit like actors. They did not choose the team. So if you hear their arguments, they may not be the same as their real beliefs. So you must understand this. But nevertheless, they will try to convince you, and it's important that you focus on arguments and vote. So let's see if they are able to convince you. Okay, how we proceed with Oxford debate. First, please take your mobile phones in your hands, prepare your ABSL application. Take your app. So I will ask you to vote 3 times during debate. First in a moment, when I ask you, what do you think about the subject of the debate? Without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. And then in the middle of the debate, and then after the closing remarks, and see if they are able to change your mind. So, okay, so let's proceed. It is a very formal thing, and you know, this is my first time hosting the debate. So, be considerate. Thank you for the support. So, last thing, 1 minute about the subject, about the title, how I understand it. You know, belonging to a family, to a community, to a company is something very human. It is really very human condition. It's a fundamental human need. We want to belong. This is a word that translates to all the languages and cultures. And we all know, you are leaders, you are managers, we know that diverse and inclusive companies are more successful. They simply perform better. But is it really true that without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails? Okay, what do you think? Vote. This is the first round of the vote. Please go to your app, look up our debate, and underneath you have ability to vote pro or against. And remember to push a send button. And we will see results in a minute on the screen. What do you think? What is your gut feeling? Is it true or false? Are you pro or against? This is our initial vote. It's like in a Hitchcock, a little bit of suspense at the beginning. Okay. I hope the Philharmonic has really fast internet. Not really. Okay, guys. So, without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. What do you think, true or false? Okay, in favor, 82% of the audience and only 18 against. You really have a tough job, guys, sorry. Okay, let's proceed to the debate. Thank you so much for the voting. We will come back to that soon. Let's begin the first round of the debate. And James Hughes, Minister Counsellor, you're a team leader. Your turn, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, members of the opposing team, and to my teammates, it's a great pleasure to be here. This side of the House believes that without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. And as Madam Chair has already set out for us, there are some dictionary definitions out there. And so the first thing I did when I received the brief, the subject of today's debate, is I went on to Google, which hopefully will please at least one member of the panel today. Other search engines are available. You can use others. But I went on to Google, and I decided, as this was an Oxford debate, to look at the Oxford English Dictionary definition of belonging. And it's quite concise. It says, belonging is an affinity for a place or situation. Now, that didn't give me very much to go on, and as you will see, Oxford debates are quite clipped, so I thought I'd go for something slightly more expansive. So I looked across the water, I looked across the Atlantic, and I looked at the Cornell University definition of belonging. And the Cornell University definition of belonging is, and I quote, the feeling of security and support when there is a sense of acceptance, inclusion, and identity for a member of a certain group. It is when an individual can bring their authentic self to work. And that, for me, encapsulates, I think, the stream of the argument and why I think so many of you have voted already in favour of the motion this afternoon. For me, belonging and diversity and inclusion are fundamentally intertwined concepts. Now, as Madam Chair set out in her introduction, whether you're at home, whether you're in a sports club, whether you're in your workplace, wherever you are, you have that community, you have that sense of belonging with the people around you. There is that shared vision, there is that shared purpose, there is that shared identity. We all have a sense of belonging because we are in this room participating in this summit. We all have a sense of belonging because even if you're sat at home watching this on a computer screen, you're part of this experience. So my opening argument is that belonging is intertwined in pretty much everything we do, as Madam Chair already set out. It is part of the human condition. And my colleagues and I, during the course of our arguments, will set out in more detail some of the points around this. The final thing I would like to do in terms of the opening and the dictionary definitions, if you like, is to look at the word failure. So without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. And if I were sat on the opposite team, I would probably have thought, so you can have diversity and inclusion without belonging. Of course you can. You can grow a team of people in an organization who are diverse. You can have people with different genders, ethnicities, disabilities and abilities, socioeconomic backgrounds. You can have LGBT colleagues. You can therefore grow a diverse workforce, a diverse staff, and therefore you don't need belonging, you can just do it. And they can feel included. And to an extent, that's correct. However, what is the dictionary definition of failure? The dictionary definition of failure is an absence of success. And my argument is that, yes, you can have diversity and inclusion, but it won't be successful without belonging, because it will simply be superficial. You will simply have a group of people working together. Thank you.
Well, thank you, James. That was the definition of belonging, and very precise from this side of the pond and the other one. Thank you. The team against, Monika Rajska-Wolińska, what do you think about this definition?
So, Madam Chair and dear opponents, dear audience, it's a great definition of belonging. It's fantastic. But the question mark it is, if we as the leaders should somehow have an influence for people to belong to us. I've been working for Colliers for 22 years. So I definitely feel that I really belong to this company by heart. But when I become a managing partner 11 years ago, even of the power of diversity and inclusion strategies becomes recognized, I had intuition that I need to create a beautiful and fantastic workplace and platform for my people, atmosphere where everyone are more than welcome, and to share the unique points, different feelings, different type of the view, because this is the right things to do for the leader, but also for the company. And this is even my approach. It's an amazing result when we get, the high score of the engagement survey, and Colliers, we get the title twice the best employer of the year, and it's voting by my employees. So you can say that I understand, how this workplace is important and belonging. When people from different backgrounds with the different stories always are more welcome here and come together to create value to our clients. If they feel belongs to Colliers, to me, wow, it makes me so happy and proud because it's the loyalty, they can stay with me forever. But have I ever asked as a leader and tried to impose this feeling to them? The answer is not, never. So diversity and inclusion strategy, it really creates results. But when it comes to belonging, we are dealing with the feelings, subjective and abstract. The power of such a connections comes out only when they are natural and voluntary. Trying to impose a specific feeling onto our employees is somehow like a dodgy idea, but I can even be unethical. If you think even more deeply about it, it's even somehow like a manipulation. especially when we talk about such a primary and basics, needs as a belonging. We are belonging, as you said, to family, to friends, to peers, to our colleagues. But can we have the same feeling, the same bond to the institution? I'm sure that you have ever, heard from some managers that, oh, we have a great family atmosphere, join us. Honestly, even I used to do it myself until I thought that about the true meaning behind those words. So please don't misunderstand me. When my employees say that I are feeling to belong to the company, to Colliers, it makes me so happy. But I know that they belong not to institution, to Colliers. They are more about the atmosphere, about colleagues, about they can grow and develop in here, not to the institution. So diversity, but also the one of question, does it mean that my diversity and inclusion strategy failed? Believe me, not. It's my really like a dream and focus that we still continue to create such a diversity and inclusion strategy. But diversity and inclusion is very important and wonderful thing. There's no doubt. But it is something which arises from good leadership, management, rather than something which is artificially created as things in itself.
Thank you, Monika. That was impressive argument and very personal story from Colliers. Thank you. Janusz Dziurzyński. No?
Almost, that's Wiktor.
Oh, sorry, so Wiktor Janicki. What do you think about this personal story? How would you react to it?
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and the honourable opposition, as well as the audience. I think we should go back to the initial words of James with the definition that he has provided. And the words that resonate within that definition for me are really about the sense of security and the ability to identify with the team that you are working with. And I hope that Magda will be happy because Google will get quoted for the second time right now. So Google has done this amazing project, Aristotle, which was around finding what are the primary characteristics of the most effective teams. And one of the things that came out of that was that most effective teams are characterized by psychological safety. And I think if we think about the sense of belonging, it is very much about psychological safety. It is not about the feeling of ownership. It is about the fact that people can express their ideas, people can be proud of their background, of their gender or ethnicity. And I don't think it's enough just to say that we are inclusive, that we are open for diversity, but we have to translate that into creating the right environment for people to be able to express that. And there is research behind that. I mean, there is research showing that despite $8 billion being spent in the US on the diversity and inclusion agenda, 40% of employees still feel excluded. And I think this is a clear sign of the fact that more needs to be done. That it's not only about us identifying with the company, but it is about us creating as leaders and as all of the employees, creating that atmosphere of psychological safety when we can really enter that environment as humans. I believe that the sense of belonging is about seeing the human in every single one of us. It is about going more than just entering that office or entering the virtual space and being an employee. That similar research also shows that when employees actually do feel the sense of belonging, they increase their efficacy by about 50% in terms of the work output. So it's not only good philosophy, it's actually good business. So I definitely accept all of the arguments about that feeling of ownership with the company, but the sense of belonging and the sense of psychological safety, I think it's something different. I think it is about the ability to be yourself within the workplace, and that's how I understand belonging, and that's why I believe that diversity and inclusion will fail if we feel included, but not entirely as ourselves.
Thank you, Wiktor. Thank you. Great argument. Thank you. You talked about feelings. You started talking about feelings, but you gave a lot of research and thought about it, and you based your answer on your thesis on the numbers, on the research. So the next gentleman, this time I get it right, Janusz Dziurzyński, sorry about that. What do you think? What will you answer to this thesis, to this argument?
Madam Chair, dear proposing team, my beloved team, and most importantly, you, dear audience. Of course I disagree. Let me start with the definition. Diversity and inclusion should not mean belonging. These two go completely separately together. Let me try to explain. And I'm actually super happy because the proposing team gave me fuel to my arguments. Diversity is a fact. Everybody knows that having more diverse and more different views in your team helps everybody, helps the others, helps the business. Nobody discussed this, right? Diversity is a fact. Inclusion is a choice. We may choose to include or exclude someone. We include different point of views, different norms, different cultures, but it's a good thing. We want to include people, and I would actually argue that inclusion comes before diversity. Belonging, as very well put, is about feelings. Feelings in the workplace, for God's sake. Please leave my feelings to me, to my family, to my children. Imagine what happens when the companies are trying diversity and inclusion for years. Everybody tries it for years, because these are good things. I also did a little bit of research, yes. According to Harvard Business Review, they checked 106 C-suite executives from 91 companies from 17 countries. And what they concluded is a horrifying thing. Because the way we implement diversity and inclusion, it's very often perceived as the KPI, as the artificially imposed numbers and quotas, and 85% of them anonymously said that they don't know how to do it. To be natural, to be convincing, to be honest and truthful. Now, everybody agrees diversity inclusion is the first step, belonging is the next step. Imagine what happens if we fail in diversity and inclusion. Imagine what happens when we cross this line of a feeling. That leads us to straight disaster. We may be very successful. Actually, the statistics that with the belonging, companies produce 50% better results, this scares me. This scares me to death. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. And finally, yes, I looked at a definition in another dictionary. I took Merriam-Webster, James. Belonging has two meanings. And that scared me even more. First meaning, belonging is a possession. No. Do you want to be possessed by your workplace? By your boss? God forbid. Yeah? Imagine that. And the second definition. Belonging is a close or intimate relationship. Close or intimate relationship. Is this my work? I love my job, all right? Do I want to go into close and intimate relationship at the workplace? Let's not cross this line. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great argument. Great argument. Oh, this is going to be fun. What are you going to say, Kinga?
First time.
Really, Kinga Piecuch, this is a really interesting argument. What do you think?
So, thank you very much for giving me a voice. I have great pleasure to be invited. Thank you for this invitation. Dear friends, dear audience, and dear team, I had completely different speech when I came here. And when I started to listen my friends, Monika and Janusz, I look on the title of this debate very spontaneously. Probably you could see that I'm moving a lot. This is my natural nature. I'm extrovertic. Without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. But who said that we speak about work? Who said that we speak about business? This is life. This is not business. This is not a job. I'm a mother of 3 daughters, plus 2 of my husbands that we raised together. When I took them to the school and to the kindergarten, I took their hand and I was explaining with love where they are going, that this is the place where do they belong, that they have to feel good, they need to feel safe, they are protected by teachers and also by new friends they're gonna make. They came back home, being 3 years old, being Polish, going to the French school, and crying that they don't understand what they are saying to them. They don't want to go there, because they even can't say good morning, I'm hungry, I don't want to sleep. Because most of 3 years children, they don't want to sleep in the kindergarten. They were not able to express themselves. Is it diversity? Yes. Do we speak about inclusion? Yes, because I counted on the teachers, I counted on the other kids, that they will invite my kids to be a part of their group. They will create the environment for them that they start to laugh every single day during the week to this place. This is belonging? Yes, I will tell you why. Because my personal definition of belonging is what do we feel. It is a spirit. It is what do we have in our heart. Do I belong to this debate by emotions? Yes. I'm not ashamed to say I belong to this stage. I belong to my team. I don't. And I don't feel offended or whatever the word, Janusz, you said. I can't repeat. I'm sorry. My English is poor and very pidgin. But this is what I want to say. I feel that I belong to this place. And there is nothing wrong with this. I don't feel pushed to do that. I feel it. I wanted to come here. I wanted to face in front of my personal challenge because I'm not very good in Oxford debates. This is my first experience in my life. So, I see that my friends speak by researchers. So the one thing which I will now tell you that I really prepared, going here from conference, Financial Congress in Sopot, where we met with Magda as well, I decided to look in YouTube about belongings. Because I said diversity, inclusion, I know in my life. I'm different and I feel it. So I know what does it mean, diversity. But belonging, you can have different definition. I'm very curious what our opponents, my dear friends, will say. If you click belonging on YouTube, most of you probably will see a very short movie about belonging. In this movie, there is a research which is named from Harvard University about belonging. And this most prestigious university and this very prestigious research is saying that if you do not feel that you belong to some place, to some group, to some community, to someone even, in friendship, in love, in work, in passion, whatever we name, your immunity system is failing. It's more sensitive for disease. It's more sensitive for illness. This is what you can hear there. And I said, you see, if this clever lady, she's sharing this research, probably this is what should I say. So this is the research I wanted to share with you.
Wow.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
The rest I will leave for the second part of my story.
No. So I have to keep time. Kinga, Piecuch, that was amazingly emotional and argument and very private example, very personal. Magda Dziewguc, Google Cloud, floor is yours.
Thank you, Ola, for making that important notice at the beginning of this panel that this is a theater and we are acting here. And what Kinga just did was a beautiful act of acting. She has taken you to, in an amazing way, on a journey through your emotions, connecting all of you with herself in this feeling of belonging. But actually, we haven't met at the last conference. Who of you believed that we have met? Was she convincing? We haven't. So this is exactly the thin line that I want to focus here, because I'll go back. We are here as managers, and we are meeting at the conference where you came to get know-how and best practice for your job. You're all leaders. All of you are responsible for thousands of people, very often young people, that look at you as role models, as people who should give them guidelines. I remember when I was in high school, the transformation in Poland started. And I had my role model. It was the sister of my mother. My mother was touched by the transformation. She was a poor teacher, and she couldn't find herself with this new economic reality. But her younger sister, she got a job from one of those amazing corporations, coming from Sweden, with all that colorful culture, creating a lot of growth opportunity. She fell in love with her job. She spent most of her life trying to build that organization. That organization is one of the most diverse and innovative and inclusive organizations in the world. They are on top of all of the ranks. They are very successful. Why? Because diversity and inclusion is a process. And us at Google, we were referred here very often, we do it very well. We have a lot of metrics, a lot of activities, a lot of KPIs to make sure that our organization is diverse and inclusive, and it's very successful because it's diverse and inclusive. What happened to the sister of my mother? After 20 years of very, very intensive work, she unfortunately got sick, seriously sick. That was a very difficult time for her. And after 12 months of being sick, she got a letter. A postman came to her house with a letter from this amazing company informing her that she is not an employee anymore, without even a thank you. For her, it was the most difficult moment in life. She had her family, she had her loved ones around, so she survived that crisis. But I've learned from that lesson that it's very easy to manipulate emotions. And leaders often do that. It's easy. You want to have a great atmosphere, you want people to be attracted by the job opportunities. Let's create this emotional situation where you all feel you're belonging. But are you ready to take responsibility for the outcome? And I understand why all of you were voting for at the beginning. That was my first reaction when I saw the subject. I was like, oops, belonging probably is something I relate to. But then, when I gave it a little bit of reflection and I thought about the job of the leader, your job is not easy. Your job is actually to create successful, diverse, inclusive team without crossing that thin line, without asking people to offer you their private emotions.
Thank you. Magdalena Dziewguc, Google. Wow. Wow. You really gave it some thoughts. Dear guests, it's your time for voting again. So that was our first round. We really coming back to the first point. I'm really, really curious what we will make out of it. I have to tell you one thing to all our established participants. Please be concise, be short in the next round because we are a little bit over the time. So next round, 1 minute. Short presentations, 1.5, okay? So if you can show me the results, if it's possible, that would be great. but yes, Magdalena is voting. It's possible for participant to vote. So it's okay. Okay, good job, good job. I mean, much more people is right now against, 17% more. So total 38% against the thesis and 62 still in favor. Thank you so much for voting. Thank you for participating in the debate. I will just remind you there will be possibility to ask questions after the second round, so please prepare your questions. I will ask you. Okay, let's go. Great. So we are moving on with the arguments. Round 2. Again, I rephrase the topic. Very, very interesting arguments. We are talking about diversity, inclusion. We try, all of you, to build modern, open companies. But if you have an employee and this person is included in organization, does it mean that they feel they belong to it? So is it true that without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails? Let me come back to Wiktor Janicki, AstraZeneca.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, or Madam Chair. And again, I think the opposition has done a great job in terms of taking you down a very simple path of this vision of companies owning their employees, owning their emotions, owning their life. Well, let's take it to a slightly different level. I know all of us are guilty of standing between you and the lunch. Well, there's also a keynote speech. So think about the lunch that's coming up. Close your eyes, imagine the great food that's out there. And just imagine for a moment that you'll be that person who will be standing by yourself at a table without anyone around you. How does that feel? Do you feel comfortable to do your best? Do you feel comfortable to contribute to the networking, to contribute to the great atmosphere that this event has? I think this is the sense of belonging that we're talking about. It's about being with people, it's about being yourself, it's about sharing your emotions. We've all met here for a purpose, and we all have a common purpose. And I come from an industry that has a great purpose of saving people's lives. And I think if we think about the sense of belonging as uniting people around a certain purpose, we don't have to get into their private lives, we don't have to, dig into what is it that they feel extremely emotionally. It is about us being united around something great that we're trying to do. And let's not try and exclude that possibility that we have some good in ourselves, that we're trying to do something great together. And there is research showing that when people feel excluded, actually the same part of the brain are being affected that are affected when you feel pain. And I think that's a great argument to the fact that with that belonging, we are creating something magic. We are creating something that goes beyond what we usually do in terms of all of those activities around diversity and inclusion. We are creating the common purpose to be together.
Thank you. Thank you. The team opposing, Monika.
Belonging or not to belonging? That's really the question. Yeah.
1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
No more Shakespeare.
Belonging is a basic human need. I give more minutes for Kinga. But we are looking for people who are share the same values, culture, convictions. We are very often like a cheer for the local football team, no matter if they are good or bad. Or we are waiting for the school reunion to meet people and these particular groups which we really love it. But it doesn't mean that it's going to well with the light of the successful diversity and inclusion strategy. I was thinking when I was prepared for this debate, and I at the beginning thought, okay, we have a more difficult situation to be in opposite, to be opponents. But honestly, when I went deeply into this subject, I said, really? Look, all of us, all companies create the values, they create the dream, they create, behaviors which is not cool or cool. We did exactly the same. But doesn't mean that I excluding someone from their perceptions. Obviously, it's not my goal, but there is a small chance that I limit somehow my pool of talent because of the misconceptions of what belonging in the workplace is. And sometimes when we are belonging too much, in one of the group, we can create some, people who are always the same. If the team is going to be creative more, innovative, if this team is going to thinking in another way or accept another, opinion because of the belonging, like in a football, for example, team. So very quickly, belonging can be a powerful experience, but it can also serve to separate you from the group who are already create the values and behaviors.
Thank you so much. Okay, next argument, James Hughes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm tempted to give my minute to Kinga, actually, so she can have 2, because that was excellent. But I mean, there are a number of things to say in response to our colleagues on the opposite team, but I will just focus on the last point, actually, and that belonging risks some sort of groupthink, I think, is the argument that's been set out. The Coaches Training Institute did some research that said that even among diverse and inclusive organizations, 56% of those people who were polled felt that unless they felt that their leaders valued them as part of the team, valued them as part of the community in which they're working in, they felt unable to contribute their diverse, inclusive, creative ideas. And therefore, in terms of fostering a community, it's not a question of groupthink, it's a question of no-think, because people will not feel encouraged to contribute their diverse ideas. The second point I was going to make very quickly, Madam Chairman, is, and it's in response to Janusz's point, please leave my feelings at home. Please leave them alone. Well, unfortunately, for the last 18 months, we have been seeing everybody's feelings at home because we've been stuck at home. We've seen cats going across screens, dogs going across screens, children running in. We've seen partners, husbands, wives in their pajamas walking back in the background. Thankfully, only the pajamas, nothing else. We have seen people's emotions. We've seen their private lives on show. And actually, having that connection has really strengthened my organisation and my team. The British Embassy, of which I'm speaking, we now feel a much stronger affinity, a much stronger sense of belonging. And therefore, because we know more about people's whole selves, we're able to identify where they can contribute different things, different characteristics, different views, different standpoints. And it's made for a much more effective team. Thank you.
Thank you. Magda Dziewguc, very convincing argument about the pandemic situation. What do you think?
Well, I think that let's in this round focus a little bit on the belonging, because if the thesis was true that belonging is very close to diversity and inclusion and it helps diversity and inclusion, then we shouldn't be having any problems with that in Poland, because all the research shows that Polish people really feel that they are belonging in Poland. They belong to Christian values, they are very nationalistic, they have a great belonging feeling. So are we a very diverse and inclusive society? Let's look at the British example which we had just right now. Because of so great belonging to UK and Great Britain, UK is out of United Europe. Does it support? Does it support diversity and inclusion? Let's look at other groups which we were referring to. Let's take the football fans. Go to Legia on the game and tell them about diversity and inclusion. That's absolutely extreme level of belonging. They really belong to Legia with their hearts, with their emotions, even with their fists. But does it support diversity and inclusion? We really need to separate these two areas. Diversity and inclusion is something that we can manage, that we can work, that we can build and we can develop. And belonging is something that comes and goes. comes and go. This is all about the swing of emotions, and it's coming and leaving depending on many factors.
Thank you. Thank you. Great argument. Wow. Wow. Watch your phones. Kinga, Piecuch, are you a football fan?
I will focus on, let's say, what I really feel and what I really want to share with audience and with all of you. Yes, I not necessarily don't want to reflect to other thoughts because you are also right. That's what I think. So at the beginning, when I shared with you my personal feelings and my point of view on diversity, inclusion without belonging, I feel it in every aspect of my life. This is what I said in the first part of my speech. Now, my colleagues, my friends are talking about work, job. Okay, let's talk about business. So, where do we want to work? In what workplace do we want to work? Do we really believe that we work in the places only with diversity and inclusion, without belonging? Without feelings? So my question to all of you, but also Magda, you raised me as by my name, so I ask you the same question, and to all of us, are we authentic? Why do we speak so much about being authentic and feeling empathy if we believe that without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails? That's the question which I can ask. I have to tell you that we have a choice in our life. We can work because we are good wherever we want. We are independent human beings. We are humble but self-confident. Everyone who is sitting in this room is good because you are here. But ladies sitting in house with their kids, husband working, husband sitting in house with their kids, they are also good in a different aspects. They do different things than we do. What does it mean? They do this with feelings. I go to my office in Microsoft and I do it with feelings. Inclusive leaders are able to build champions, not individual, communities of champions. We need each other to be pushed, to be motivated, to be encouraged, to be listened to be heard, to get feedback, to be better people. And for me, this is belonging. I don't work for a company which feels that culture of inclusion or diversity is a process. I would never work for this kind of company. So from business perspective, without belonging, diversity and inclusion will fail. Because otherwise, you don't have empathy, and otherwise, you are not authentic. So maybe there are some organizations where they do it because it is proper to do, or they do it because they do it by artificial purpose. Me, the company that I represent, I don't do it. I do it by heart. That's why I believe in this sentence. So this is from the professional aspect and business profile.
Thank you, thank you. Very emotional, heartfelt argument. And last but not least, Janusz Dziurzyński.
Let's keep going, let's keep acting. This is fun.
I hope it's fun for you.
Oh, definitely for me, I'm sure for everybody. This is brilliant. I mean, the proposing team said, the independent human beings, the choice, absolutely. Guys, freedom, all right? Freedom, please. The work argument that we are not here for work, I looked at our titles, I think it's actually funny. So, no, we are here in the work environment, okay? We are here about the work environment, and we talk about the topic in the context of work. We talk about the topic in the context of a business. And I'm not quite sure I got the pajama argument of James, but I will not go there, yeah? I decided to do another interview with the people that I love most. I'm blessed because I have two parents still living, and I asked them this question. It's like, rather than doing researches on Google or in other sources, I said, like, what do you think about these topics? And I saw fear in their eyes. I was like, son, we love you more than anything on this planet. We will always support you. We will always be on your side. But don't put all the eggs in one basket, please. One day you're going to be super surprised. If you talk belonging, if you talk feeling, if you talk the sense of unity with these people, then we are scared. Take care of yourself. Then I spoke to my wife. And that was a tough conversation. She said, honey, are you serious? I mean, you talk to me like a preacher or you like a hidden religion or something. No, if there is anybody you belong to me. Don't go there, okay? Actually, is there something you want to tell me? I said, no, honey, forget it. I'm going to win this debate. I know it. And then I'm the most happy father, right? Yes, I also have children. I have 4 sons, right? All of them are adults. And I said, like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. You sit. I'm going to give you a statement, and you tell me if you agree or not. And they looked at me as like, you're crazy, right? I said, no, it's serious stuff. It's a business environment. This is serious stuff. And they said, like, Dad, I mean, come on. We remember, please, you talk like a dinosaur. This is not about that. We want to work everywhere. We want to work from home. We want to give us the choice. I mean, this is not serious. And they left. And then one of them came back and said, like, listen, here is the argument for you that you brought this one day. And I said, like, what is this? I said, you remember? One day, many years ago, you told me about the most inspiring manager you worked for. And he taught you a very important lesson. I said, like, yeah, what was that? You don't remember? And then I said, of course I do. And the lesson is this. We go to work to be professionals, to demonstrate the skill sets, to drive results, to get respect. Respect from our people. You want to love? You buy yourself a dog. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, we are running out of time, so this is how we proceed now. There will be closing remarks from the team leaders now. Then you have short time to ask questions, so really pick your questions wisely and make them precise and short. And then you will decide who will win. You will vote for the 3rd time. So, closing remarks, Magdalena Dziewguc, team leader.
So, just looking at what we've just discussed, it's really important to understand what the question is about. The question is about the relationship between belonging and diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is something we're all responsible for, and I don't have to convince anyone in the room what a great impact it has on the success of the teams, on the success of a society, or the innovation level. We all know that. But then we're coming to belonging, which is a very different thing, unrelated. From my own experience, I will share you with the worst situation I've ever experienced. It was exactly in the middle of my private and professional life. A couple of years ago, I was working as a member of the board of a state-owned company. And I felt huge responsibility for where my country is going. So I started to create a foundation called Digital University. Maybe you have heard about this one. And we wanted to do a lot to bring up the competences, technical innovation, digital competences in Poland. One of the things that I wanted to do was to bring to Poland for the first time the Dean of Harvard Business School. Rajiv Lal, a person close to my heart, I was convincing him, Poland is the place of opportunity, the potential place. Please come over and help me build this project. Guess what? He agreed, without even a fee. So it was really like, I was so excited, so emotional, and I created a huge expectation among business community. And then what happened? Due to some kind of a political conflict, I was invited to one of those dark rooms, and I was informed, like, you're out of this board, you're not working here anymore, we don't want your innovative projects and your ideas. I didn't sleep for the whole night, because I really had to inform this distinguished person that I need to cancel everything. And I remember every word of that email because I was deleting it probably 100 times. And finally, his answer came. And he told me, your mission belongs to you. Change the framework, go do it, and you'll be successful, I'm sure. Is Digital University successful today? It is working. I also joined Google because I wanted to do it at scale. In both these projects, diversity and inclusion, premium level. People from different countries, people from different religions, very innovative concepts. But what I've learned, be faithful to yourself only and belong to yourself only. You have to have this benchmark inside you. You have to be self-driven person. This is what will help you survive the worst crisis. And this is what leaders should teach everyone around them. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Good job. James, you're summing up your final statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Listening to Magdalena just summing up there, the phrase entered my head, no man is an island. And of course, no person is an island. That phrase needs to be updated. But it's a sad indictment if all you're thinking about is yourself and you're not thinking about the community of people around you and the team that you're working with. Magdalena also spoke about how Legia fans are very passionate and they belong together, and how your point about the UK and Brexit is well noted. But I would just point out that so without belonging, diversity and inclusion fails. But with belonging, diversity and inclusion doesn't necessarily succeed. The point is that you need belonging for diversity and inclusion to succeed. But even if you have belonging, you don't necessarily have diversity and inclusion. I agree with that point, but that's not what's being discussed today. So a couple of things I would say. I mean, back to Janusz's point, we spend the vast majority of our time at work. Several studies have been done about how the percentage of your life you spend in the office, or you spend, not in the office, sadly, in the last 18 months, but at work, working. And if you don't have that bond, that connection with your team, if you don't have that connection with people you work with, then what are you doing? Because you're spending the majority of your time with these people. You spend more time with these people than you do your wives, your husbands, your children, your mates down in the bar, wherever you are. These are the people that you need to have a connection with. And it's those people with whom you build that sense of belonging. Belonging is not a possession, as has been discussed. Belonging is not a process. Belonging is a state of mind. Belonging is a state of being. And finally, nobody really wants, going back to some of the comments that have been made, nobody really wants to work in an organization and work for a leader on the basis of an equation of respect. Obviously, you want respect. You have a respectful relationship between the leaders, colleagues, contacts, whoever it is, stakeholders. But you want to work for leaders who are authentic. You want to work for leaders who are nice. You want to work for leaders who are honest. You want to work for leaders who you want to work for. You don't want to feel obliged to go into the workplace. And it's all about bringing your authentic self to work, bringing your whole self to work. I work at the British Embassy. I am proud to work for the British Embassy. I'm proud to work for the British government, as are many of my colleagues. And we belong to that organization and we back each other. And when the going gets tough, as it has done for the last 18 months, we have backed each other. When things have got tough, we've covered for each other. When people have got sick, when people have had COVID, we've looked after them, we've delivered shopping. They're not just colleagues, they're people we spend time with, they're people that enrich our lives. And so without belonging, diversity and inclusion will fail. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Ladies and gentlemen, before you make your final decision and vote, we have still a few minutes, and this is the time for 4 questions. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and somebody will give you. Yes, the gentleman at the back. Could you please give the microphone? And here's the second one. Maybe there's a brave lady who will want to ask a question also. Could we help with microphone? No. Let's do it with microphone. If there is no microphone, I gave you mine. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Maciej Nuckowski. I come from Diebold-Nixdorf, and I have a question to Kinga. So you didn't want to refer to your opponents in your closing statement. And there was one that was particularly interesting about this UK. Don't you think that UK actually left European Union because they didn't feel they belonged to it? What is your definition of belonging, by the way?
Thank you. Kinga. You're a diplomat now.
So first of all, you should know that Maciek Nuckowski is my 25 years old friend, and he loves to provoke me, really. He loves to provoke me. And I believe that I explained my definition of belonging at the beginning of my speech. And I'm very consistent what belonging means for me. And I have to tell you that yes, our friends are right. We should be very much focused on the title of the debate because we don't speak about integrity. What Magda, you said, what we want to be, whom do we want to be, is also integrity. Integrity is the most important aspect of our life. To feel good, to feel proud. This is not belonging. Belonging has a different meaning for me. So I hope that now I explain even more deep what does it mean belonging and integrity, and why I agree with this title so much from bottom of my heart, because if there is integrity, my opinion would be different. But this is not integrity. This is without belonging.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, second question. Thank you. Here, could someone help me with the microphone? Thank you. Okay, anyone questions? I can't see. Yes, there is one. Okay, okay.
Okay, thank you very much. My question will be to all of you, because I think all of you gave a very strong arguments that some of them I can agree or disagree, but the same real life, we all leaders, that we are managing more than 5 people, let's say, 20 people, 30 people, etc. What you're going to do, I'm not talking about belonging, but to include a person that do not share the same sense of ideas, that feel offended or feel not comfortable, that he or she is not given a voice on it, because people think like you don't like me because I'm, I don't know, different like you, different country. How do you include this type of people that feel offended for every person that has different ideas than them?
Okay, thank you so much. Team leader Magda Dziewguc.
I think you see on that stage actually what we need to do, because as Ola said at the very beginning, the people in this debate do not have to relate to what they need to defend, but this is a very diverse and very inclusive discussion. Everyone gets a share of voice, everyone is being heard, everyone has equal chances. So that's my answer to your question. You need to create a format, a space, enough of acceptance between us to be different, to exchange different opinion and different ideas and still feel accepted and respected. But none of us is expected to belong to what we need to defend.
Thank you. Thank you. Wiktor.
Just building on what has already been said, I would add also as leaders, we have to show our vulnerability. I mean, if we show that we are humane and that we also sometimes fail, we have sometimes ideas which are not that popular and maybe not in the mainstream, I believe that then encourages other people to speak up and to share their ideas. And I think vulnerability is really the quality of the future leaders.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, last question because we are running out of time and my job is to really keep the time. Okay, two questions. Gentlemen in the center and then gentlemen in the white here. So let's start here in the center. Here you are. Very quick question, please.
Hello, good job to all the teams. Very interesting debate. My name is Piotr Tatar, BNP Paribas Security Services. Actually, referring to the game because I was last week on the Poland-England game. I truly realized that there can be diversity without inclusion, and there can be inclusion.
We can't hear you. Could you speak up?
Can you hear me now? Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. So once again, thank you for the debate. Referring to the game, I was last week at the game, Poland against England, and I truly realized that there can be diversity without inclusion, and there could be inclusion without the diversity. So it is possible. Also, what I truly believe in, that there is a different definition between the private belonging and the professional belonging. So I think
absolutely.
Also
what is the question?
It's a fact. The question is, right now, we don't have actually the good tools to create the culture of the belonging in the company because we haven't got the integration events, CSR events. So the question is to James' team, how do you build and stimulate the culture of the belonging in the company, especially for the new people that join your companies?
Okay, James.
Thanks very much. We can speak separately, but I disagree with your opening premise. But we... in terms of your question, I think there are several facets to it. I think, but to a large extent, as we've said in the course of the debate, it comes from the leadership. It comes from the culture that the leadership of your organisation sets. So in terms of the standards they expect, in terms of their authenticity, in terms of what they bring to the table, as Wiktor has said, the fact that they are prepared to show their vulnerabilities, the fact that they're prepared to fail and admit that they failed is really important. I'm quite happy to show my team that I fail because failing once is fine because you've tried. The fact is you then learn from it. So the culture is set from the top, but it's also set from the bottom. And this is a very diplomatic way of putting it, but it's top and bottom because it has to be driven by the people that work for your organization as well. Because it has to work for them. If you're imposing something that doesn't work for the people that work for you, they're not going to do it, or they're going to do it reluctantly, and therefore employee engagement, the development of a positive culture will not be as successful.
Okay, thank you, James. So the word you used, vulnerability, yes, so showing your failures too. Thank you. The last question, sorry. Okay. So, guys, sorry, I'm Forbes woman. I cannot not give you a voice, and then you, okay? Sorry, thank you. Very quick question, please, and please state your name and company and the question.
Hello, my name is Edyta Gałaszewska, Accenture Poland, and I have a question to Janusz. Because you intrigued me with your statement that belonging is possession. For me, belonging is the feeling that someone cares about me. So now let's imagine I'm your employee. How you would convince me that your inclusion and diversity standards is not a label on your webpage, because this is now the right thing to do for all companies, but that you really care about me?
Thank you. Good question.
How much time do we have?
1 minute.
No, because I would love Edyta to work for me, and I would do everything to convince her. The statement was from Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's not my statement, and we are acting. What I would do everything is to try to get your trust, try to get your sense of wanting to be in the company, show you respect, have lots of time to listen to your opinion, to hear you, not only to kind of give you time, but really give you unbiased attention, and by that create a bond that will be professional and the place that you really want to be. But that would be your choice. Therefore, I would never confuse this with belonging. The choice, the freedom.
Thank you, thank you. Last question from the colleague, our participant on the left. Be quick with the question and state your name and company.
Yes, Mario Martinez for the Longevity Center. A point of clarification, actually. I think that one of the
We can't hear you, I'm sorry.
One of the difficulties in the argument is that there's a confusion between behavior and emotions. All three are behaviors, and they have emotions. Belongingness basically means that you belong to that panel. Whether you like it or not is the emotion. Diversity, they're men and women. Whether you like it or not, there's diversity. Inclusion is the key. Are you being included in the process of the power, the opinions, and so forth? But I think what happens is that there's a confusion here between the behavior and the emotional response to the behavior.
What is the question?
Well, that's it. It's very difficult to answer because...
Okay, thank you. Do you want to relate to this statement?
I disagree. We can talk separately.
Thank you, James.
I should just say, for those of you in the audience, what you can't see is the fact that on both these screens we have a big thing saying time up for the last 10 minutes. So we can talk separately.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Any last sentence to the gentleman? No. Magda.
Thank you very much for being with us, for listening to us. It was great fun.
Okay, phones, voting. Final voting. Which team, pro or against? Who convinced you? Please take the phone in your hand, find the application, find the debate, and push the right button. And I'm very, very interesting.
The right button?
No. Left or right, but the one that you think is correct. And send. And our colleagues, organizer, will show us the results soon, and I'm really, really thrilled to see which team, because you know, guys, they really worked hard to prepare to this debate, and you've saw it, you've seen it. So I'm curious, who convinced you? Diversity and inclusion without belonging fails or not? I'm really, really interested. What do you think? You decide. Okay. Okay, so we have the final results, and the team against won, actually, because applause. Yes. Why? Yes, because in the Oxford debate, it is not the team that has the majority of vote that wins, but the majority of switched votes. So majority of growth, so they convince more people. Big applause.
Huge applause to all of you.
If I could say something, because this applause is not for us.
Yeah.
This applause is really for those who are open-minded, listen to arguments, and that shows that you are great leaders for diversity and inclusion, and congratulates to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for fantastic Oxford debate. It's one of the most beautiful and most important debate panel session.
Thank you, Łukasz. One more thing I would like to tell you all, because you are leaders here, and you know, I love the debate and love how fun it was, how witty it was, what kind of facts and arguments you prepared, and I really, really miss this kind of a debate in the Polish public life. I mean, you're the leaders, set the example. Thank you.
Exactly. Aleksandra Karasińska, editor-in-chief, Forbes Women. Thank you.
Resilience, maturity, talents, growth, innovation. But change made us stronger. This all made us sustainable. ABSL Summit. Beyond tomorrow. Building a sustainable future.